this land of Hawaii.
Here's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
There's precipitation in New England, some of that snow kind of heavy back in Mike's old haunt, namely Bangor, Maine. Some pretty good snow falling. Great Lakes area dealing with some snow as well. Meanwhile, more rain, wind, and some very heavy snowfall in the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center, sponsored by Chevrolet. I'm Bill Keneally.
And I'm Mike Bono. We'll have all the nation's weather plus your forecast for tomorrow in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the Northeast, if we could. And unfortunately, you might not want to look at this because, boy, it was really hard walking on that ice this morning. Taking it easy, and this man, I guess that's one way to do it. You just carry the salt and maybe sand, if you can, with you, and you blaze your trail like that. But still kind of rough, as the temperatures have been below freezing for 2 solid days, at least they were before today in Worcester, and finally the rain started falling on it, and you know what happens. The ground is still below freezing, so that's freezing rain. And the air was below freezing as well, right near the ground. What's happening is that a vast area of warm air coming up from the south was riding up and over that freezing layer down near the ground and the cold ground, causing it to rain, but it hit the ground and froze on contact. Now that's just about over, although we do have a little bit of sleet mixed in around Montpelier, Vermont. Portland, Maine, you've been back and forth between rain and snow. Now it looks like the rain has won out. And the snow might be getting close to being over in Bangor, which got some fairly heavy snow, one band moving through, and the next one could even be a mixture in Bangor. New York State is raining. You have rain and fog in Pennsylvania. You've got a front slamming on through much of Michigan and Indiana toward Ohio, but the snow is to the north on that one. We can take a look and see the dense rain moving rapidly through southern New England. You can see why the warm air is coming up. These radar echoes are driven by the middle level winds, and they're pushing up all that warm air. But it's snow from around Millinocket off toward Holton and Maine and Caribou, a few inches out of this. This next batch is rain in Portland, and it may even begin to turn over to something other than snow by the time that warmer air gets to Bangor. Some sleet mixed with snow still in northern Vermont and New Hampshire, but New York State is all rain. You can see the twist. This is the same twist in the atmosphere we noticed yesterday out about around Michigan and the previous day in Missouri. It's now getting into the northeast. And so is the rain in Boston. What a mess. Worcester, it's just liquid precipitation and melting ice now. And Cape Cod, a very heavy line of showers, maybe thunderstorms moving toward Chatham as Long Island gets kind of wet. New York City just beginning to break out. That's why we see showery travel for you through midnight instead of steady rain. But the mixtures in northern Vermont and New Hampshire, I-91, I-93 coming through here, and 95 in Maine, still kind of messy, kind of wintry. Still 31 in Bangor at the last hour, 27 Caribou, but that below freezing is limited. We see 53 in New York for the groundhog's arrival, an almost spring-like morning, so spring has been around already. What else is new, Mr. Groundhog? But Punxsutawney Phil didn't see his shadow, and he predicts less than 6 weeks more of winter. Winter is bound to come back sometime in the Northeast. We don't know exactly when. 37 Flint, 38 Chicago, below freezing in the upper Midwest, but mild in St. Louis. Now, in the Midwest, things are moving rapidly. A front is really pushing on through. Some snow in the air and on the ground in upper Michigan and northern lower on I-75, but Detroit, it's mainly rain. Now, Chicago, you had some rain earlier, but as you could see by the speed of this movement, it didn't rain in Chi-Town very long. We saw the rain come through around the morning to midday hours. A little bit of wind as folks were stepping lively this morning on the streets of Chicago, and now it's just kind of moving out. And that's good news and bad news. The rain is on the way out. It's towards Cincinnati and Nashville, but the cold is on the way into Chicago. Some pretty heavy thunder showers in the south around Vero Beach and moving on to the east, but that'll come down the coast a little while. It doesn't look like a big threat. 70s in Florida, 60s in Birmingham, 59 Dallas, still mild in the south. Here's Bill with more.
Thank you, Mike. A strong Pacific storm is pelting areas of the west with heavy rain earlier today, even hurricane-force winds, and big-time snows that could bring on avalanche dangers the next couple of days, reminding folks that winter is far from over, at least in this section of the country. Let's take you to Seattle now. You needed to hold on to your umbrellas earlier today. As you'll see momentarily, we had winds gusting close to 50 miles per hour in the downtown area. If you're heading down there by the public marketplace, you definitely had to ward off the wind and, on occasion, the rainfall. Thankfully, though, the rain in the downtown wasn't near as heavy as it was out there on the ocean front. Might be the Winslow Ferry going by there. And check that out. That's not a bad day, all things considered. I mean, on the coast, we had reports of 4 to 4.5 inches of rain out there on the northwestern coast around the Forks area. But Seattle proper, I think you were shadowed some by some of the mountains to your south and west, picking up about 1/4 inch of rain over the course of the morning hours. Looking at the weather map now, the big news is some very gusty winds kind of on the crest of the divide here from Montana to Colorado.
Adverse effect on there. Stop.